Hello, I'm Laura Rogers. Welcome to SharePoint 2013 Document Libraries. And a little bit about me real quick. I'm Laura Rogers. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I live in Birmingham, Alabama, and I work at Backspace. I've written some SharePoint books, and my blog is on wonderlaura.com, and you can follow me on Twitter. Here are a couple of the most recent books that I've written. Beginning SharePoint 2013, Building Business Solutions. 4 of us wrote that. And the step-by-step InfoPath book, Dervish Shadra and I wrote that, and it's InfoPath 2010. They didn't change anything from InfoPath 2010 to 2013, so that one is still applicable, actually. And here's our agenda for today, a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. This session is actually geared toward end users. So we have, 10 sessions that we're doing, 10-hour-long sessions that we're doing in this series, and all the rest of those sessions are really going to be geared towards people with a higher level of permission, like site managers, section administrators, power users, those type of people. This particular session is geared toward end users, and it shows end users how they can work in document libraries, uploading files, editing files, some base stuff. So again, this is all going to be things that end users can do. We're not going to get into the setting or anything like that until the next session, which is going to be more advanced, the advanced document libraries for people with higher levels of permissions on the site. All right, so that was pretty much our only slide. I'm going to go ahead and flip over to, I was playing with a web part there. I'll go ahead and hit my home page here. So from in our last session, I did a SharePoint 13 sort of walkthrough when we walked around all the different parts of the site, and now we're going to get down into the nitty-gritty just with a document library. So with this document library, this is what just a basic document library looks like out of the box. By default, when you create a site, it's going to be called Documents. And a document library is used to store not just documents, but any types of files that you want to share. You'll notice that I have some of these. I have document libraries on all of my different sites in here. You can see it has different types of files in it. So this is we collaborate on our files. Now you can have different document libraries for different purposes, so that you can, say put all of your company policies in one library, put all of your contracts in another library, and put your IT project files in another library, that type of thing. So that's kind of the idea, is to kind of categorize those and put them in libraries pertaining to what they are, and not feel the need to dump everything in one library. We actually have an entire other session we're going to do about how to organize these libraries. So but right now we're just going to talk the functionality of putting stuff in the libraries and editing it. So here's my library. This particular one is called IT Team Documents. And if I have files that I want to put in this library, I can actually have a few different ways I can do this. So when I click New Document, that's going to prompt me. It's going to give me a little browse button, so I can browse to some files here and download those. So let's see if I've got some. Let me find some files in here. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab some files that I have on my desktop, and they'll just like a little demo folder, and I'm going to put those where I can get to them. Copy. I'm going to put those where I can get to them in VM real quick. Okay. All right, so make sure you can still see my screen. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and browse again. I'm in my VM, so that's why I have to go to this little shared folders thing. And I've got my demo documents in here. If I actually had Word installed, I would be able to see those particular icons that go with them. All right, so I pick one document, okay, and that puts my document in the library. That was super simple. I have another thing I can do. I can click Upload Files using Windows Explorer instead, or I can just drag the files. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize all the other stuff I have going on here, and just move this over and get my Windows Explorer situated over here. with my demo docs. And I'm going to take this file, a couple of files. I'm going to take these are example company policies, and I'm going to drag them, and I just drop them in the library. Look at that. That is so cool. That is a new thing in 2013, the drag and drop. We also have the ability to, I'll go in the library and add a new folder. I'll say company policies. And then what I can do is I can actually drag stuff from the library to the folder. So I can drag it and let go of it in there. Okay, so it drags this over and it puts it in the library, and it's just given me an error now to replace it. So it's probably just confused because I've got a bunch of just fake data in these documents right now. So you could also, instead of taking Windows Explorer windows next to each other, you could take like 2 different libraries in 2 different windows, 2 different browser windows, and drag stuff from library to library like that. All right, so besides adding stuff to the library by individually uploading it or dragging things into the library, like you saw me drag those multiple files in there, you also have the ability to, once they're there, you want to work on them, right? So the next thing we're going to look at is how to go edit those. So I can go click this little ellipsis. So you're going to see this all over the place in SharePoint 2013, this little ellipsis button, and that's going to give you more things you can do with that document. I can edit that document, share with somebody, or follow, and I have even more things that I can do with it here. So if I click edit, that's actually going to pull up that file. No, I don't have Word installed on that computer. Good grief. Let me go back to my browser over here. I don't have Word on my VM. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take that and just click. I can open it, share it, or follow it. So I'm going to go open that file, and that's actually pulling up Word on my computer. Note to self, install Office on my VM. All right, and then there's probably nothing in this file. It's just a demo dummy file. But so it's opening this file up so I can actually go in there and work on it. So here's my file that it just opened, and it says, obviously there's no text in here, so it says I can edit document. And then I can actually convert this to, it's in compatibility mode because it's not it wasn't created in Word 2013, so I can actually convert that too, and it would change all the functionality in that document to be compatible with 2013, which obviously there's no actual text in there. So that's what that little message saw about the compatibility view. It just has to do with the version that it was created in. And then I can make some changes, and I can, when I save it, it's just going to save it straight to SharePoint. I can just close that, say yes, I want to save it. And that's going to save it's going to close Word, and it's going to save my changes. It's going to take a second. Save my changes directly to SharePoint. So that's one way of working on a document, is just to open it up and directly edit it. Now there's also this concept of checking a file out and checking it back in. So that's a good thing to use if you know you have a lot of multiple people collaborating on things and you want to be able to see who's working on what. You have this concept of check out. So I can go in here and check this file out. Now in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure that this library has something called versioning turned on, so that we can, in a minute when I'm talking about versioning, we can actually see what those versions look like from all this sort of testing that we've been doing. So I'll go back to here. All right, and so I have my conflict of interest. So I open it up. I'm going to edit a little bit more. I'm going to just leave Word open this time so that it doesn't take 5 minutes to open every time. And the thing about this is it's opening it SharePoint right now. So think about, situations where you might have a kind of a slow connection, or you're working remotely or something like that, where you're not going to have that fast access to the document. You might want to when you check the file out, it's actually going to put a local draft on your computer. So every time you save it, you don't have to talk back to the server. So that's really important to know. Okay, so I'm going to edit it again. Okay, and I'm adding some more text. And I can go close this file. Da-da-da. File, close. Yes, I'd like to save my changes. And it's uploading it to SharePoint again. So again, this concept of checkout that I'm going to show you is going to let me, that time I just directly edited it. And the concept of checking something out is actually going to let me check it out, and it's actually going to let other people see that I have it checked out. So right now it thinks that it's still open because I still have Word open and it's locked. So that's good to know. So that's what it's going to tell people if other people are going to try and edit a file that I already have open. It's going to say, hey, you can't check a file out that somebody else is editing. So that's good that so you know people are going to get that message, and you don't have to worry about multiple people trying to work on the same thing at the same time if they're not supposed to be. I have the file checked out. You can see that when people hover over it, they can see a different icon, and they can see that it's checked out to me. When we learn about views, we're going to learn about the concept of being able to, display this information in a different way or show different columns. What I'm doing right now is I just added a column. So instead of hovering over this word, people are going to be able to see a column here that says who the document is checked out to, so I can quickly see what's going on. So once it's checked out, then I can go and open that file. And it's running Word. All right, so now I checked my file out, and I make more changes like that. And I can go in here and can see the different versions, and I can actually go open up previous versions that people have created in here. And I have this check, it says that it's checked out. No one else can edit this document or view your changes until it's checked in. Now, what are my options here? So I can check it in, and I can just close the file and say I'm done working on it. I can discard my checkout, which will throw away my changes and put the document back how it was. Or I can check it in and then also keep working on it. So made some quick changes. All right, and then I can keep it checked out. That way I'm making a change, but I want it to be publicly available. I want other people that are going to this library to be able to see what change I made. So that's why I'm keeping it checked out, but I'm checking in just so they can see what I did. So now it's still checked out to me, and I'm still working on it more. We're in a fast pace because we've got some deadline, and I want other people to see my changes. Okay, so more stuff. So I'm making more changes, and then what I can do, close it, save it, and yes, I do want to check it in, finished changes. All right, and I didn't check the box to keep it checked out. So next time I can refresh my library, you can see that it's not checked out to me anymore. All right, so that's what that check-in, check-out process looks like. So you can open it and just edit it directly. You can check it out, edit it, and check it back in. The checkout thing is actually, there's a setting. You have the ability to force people to check something out. If you want to say every time somebody opens a file and starts editing it in here, it's going to make them check the file out to them, you can do that. So that's a setting in your advanced settings that we'll be talking about in the next session. But alternately, if your people in your company if you have Office web apps installed on your server, or if everybody has Office 2010 and up, so 2010 or 2013, you can use what's called live co-authoring. Now this is very cool. This is going to let people edit things live together at the same time. And that is why we have that little refresh button that we see inside of Word. So I'll go ahead and open that again. Here's my file yet again. I can edit it, And you'll notice in Word 2010 and 2013, when I'm dealing with files that are in SharePoint, this little save button looks like a refresh. It's got the little refresh icon on top of it. And when you hover over it, it says, save this document and refresh it with updates made by other authors. So that's so cool. That is our live co-authoring. So that means that, what does that mean? It means that multiple people can open up and edit. You don't check the file in and out when you use live co-authoring. So definitely, if you want people to be able to utilize this function, don't turn on this setting that forces people to check the files out. So live co-authoring, you don't need check-in, check-out. Everyone is just editing the document at the same time. So multiple people can open up the file at the same time, and what it'll do is whatever paragraph I'm working in, like this is my paragraph right here, it will put my name next to the paragraph. So it will lock down that paragraph so that what other people are looking at this file, it shows my name next to the paragraph, and it shows, it's like it's locked down. It shows like a little sort of line on the left side of it with my name next to it, so other people can't edit whatever paragraph I'm in. And I can visually see other people's names next to other paragraphs. And at the bottom of Word, I'm going to have a little pane that actually has the names of the other authors that are working on the document at the same time. It's very cool. Live co-authoring is very cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save my changes again. Okay, so that's the concept of opening, check-in, check-out, live co-authoring, or editing directly. I have another button here besides open on my, when I do my ellipsis next to each file, I can click the share button. So this is a new concept in 2013. It is the same concept as permissions. They just made it super simple and made it so that it's going to be more obvious and easy to regular end users to be able to share stuff with people. Now, if you don't have permissions to share stuff, it's going to still let you go sort of through your site administrator person to be able to try and accomplish that, but it's going to let you, give you a nice simple interface. So here's this. Now, I've already given everybody in the company access to this particular site, so it's already shared with lots of people, pretty much everybody. But I can go in here and add new people that it's shared with. I can say Shane Young, and what I want him to be able to do, I want him to be able to view that file, and I'm sharing this individual file with Shane, and it's going to send him an email. So it's shared with Shane. I'm going to go, let's see. No, I don't think I don't have email set up in my VM. But so that's what the share button does. It's just a quick way to be able to give somebody permissions to a file. And then the follow button, I can follow this document. So now I've followed it. And I can follow a document. I can follow a site in here. So this says follow this site. I'm already following this site, and it says now I'm following this document. Now, what does that mean if I'm following a document? I actually have my little news feed up here. Is going to give me, this is my site information. It's going to give me a list of stuff that I'm following and a lot of just these new social features. So it looks like this web app is warming up. But whenever I follow sites and whenever I follow documents, they're all going to be listed together. So think about it this way. I have the ability to have sort of a list of favorites follows me around. So that way I don't have to worry about whether I saved something as a favorite in my browser or not, or what computer I'm on. Wherever I go to SharePoint, as long as I'm going to SharePoint, I'm going to have my list of favorites follow me around. So this is great. So like Justin has a great marketing site in our SharePoint site at work, and I went ahead and just followed that site. That way I can quickly get to it whenever I need to. I'm going to go try this again. my.contoso.com. Oh, I don't have that in my DNS on my local computer, so let me just go to it from here. This is the same site I'm on here. Same page, newsfeed. There we go. All right, and then this is where I'm going to have my sites. Is going to be all the sites that I'm following. So sites I'm following, and then Skydrive, and then follow documents. And see, this is where My documents is one thing that I see, but followed documents is where I'm going to see all those individual documents that like that one that I just followed, conflict of interest, and I can stop following it if I want to. I can even see these have different icons because they're made with different versions of Word. All right, so that's where that is. I'll go back to my site, back to my document. Real quick right here in the ribbon. So when I click Browse, that's going to have all my navigation stuff. When I click Files, that's going to have something specific to whichever file I have selected. And Library is going to be all the things that I can do with regards to the entire library. So Files is going to give me a lot of the stuff that I want to show you with things that I can do with this individual file. So I already followed it. I already showed you how to share it. I showed you how to check it out. Now, editing the document and editing the properties are two different things. So when I click Edit Document, that's what's going to open up Word. When I view properties and edit properties, the properties are just going to be things like the name of the document, the title of. So all the things here that I'm looking at as far as properties of the document are going to be data about the data, so data about the document. So it's going to be, and I might have more fields here. I might have additional columns that I've added in the library. I might not have enterprise keywords. We're always going to have name and title. So anytime you need to change the name of a document, this is where you would do it. And what I see a lot at SharePoint is I see people going in here and saying, like, conflict of interest, conflict of interest V1, like version 1, conflict of interest V2, and then all these different copies of the same file with a different V number on it. Guess what? With SharePoint, you don't have to do that at all. SharePoint will save versions for you as long as you have versioning turned on at the library level. It's a setting for your whole library. It will, every time you save that file, it will save it as a new version. So how do I know? How do I go and look at the versions? This version history button, it will be grayed out if you don't have versioning turned on in your library. But as long as I go to version history, I can go see what's been going on with this file. So I first uploaded this file, conflict of interest, today at 2:14, and then it shows you every single time somebody edited it, it shows you their name and the size of the file, and if they made any comments when they checked it in, and what exactly they edited each time. And you'll see how many versions you're on. So again, let me go back to my Files tab in my ribbon. And editing properties, again, just edits the things about the document, like the title of it. All right, some other things that we can do, having individual files in here, are I showed you how we can go create folders in our library. Look at the version history. We can see who it's shared with. So I can see that I've given basically everybody in the whole domain access to this file. And then I can see, obviously I can delete it. I can go in here and check multiple things, and I can delete multiple things at the same time. I can actually, this is a new functionality, I can check out multiple things now, and I can check in multiple things. One thing to note with the check-in is that if you have fields, so say so right now all I have is pretty much the name and the title and keywords. If I create a field, let's just say title, and I make that a required field, when people upload a document to the library, it's going to prompt them and say, fill out this required field basically for this document. You have to fill it out before the document will appear in the library. Well, if you upload a whole bunch of documents at the same time, the problem with that is if you have required fields, it's not going to prompt you for every individual file when you mass upload them like that, so it's something to watch out for. So what will happen in that case is that you'll be able to upload all the files to SharePoint, but they will all have your name next to them, and they'll say checked out to you. And that means, and they're still going to be waiting for you to be able to fill out that metadata before you can check them in. So if I see my name, it's checked out to me, and I go and try and check in, it's going to say you must fill out these required fields before you can check it in, and then you'd have to go through each individual file and fill those fields out to be able to check those in. And until you do that, None of those files are going to be available. No one else will be able to see those except you because they're checked out to you. And they've never been checked in before, so they're not going to be visible. I've seen that before where, you know, Bob here at his desk uploads a whole bunch of documents to the library, and then Sally over here, it's like, well, Bob uploaded documents, but he can see them, but I can't see any of the stuff he put in there. It's because there's no checked-in version yet because Bob needs to go fill out the required fields. So just something to look out for. Fortunately, though, once you fill out the required fields, you can go select files, and just like we saw, the ability to invite people to the document. This popularity trends is neat. I have the ability to go look at a spreadsheet. This is a new little neat one that shows you usage of that particular file, so you can really dig in and see what's been going on, see how much people are using it, and see some pretty little charts. So obviously this is a brand new file I just uploaded today, so it doesn't have much data in it, but it's going to show you a lot of information about what the usage details about that file. It's pretty cool. And I showed you how you can go in here and follow an individual document if you want to. I can download a copy of it. I can send it to somewhere else, so I can send it to another library. If I know the URL of the other library, I would just put that right here. And then whenever changes get made to this one, I will actually be prompted to be able to send those changes to that copy of that same document in the other library. If I have any workflows associated with that document, I'll be able to click the workflow button and go ahead and kick those off from here. And then tags and notes, that's my metadata tagging. It's giving me the ability to put some keywords associated with it, like this file is about workflows. So workflows is one of my keywords, and I can save that. So now that document is tagged. Another new feature in 2013 is the ability to synchronize. So every single library is going to have that little sync button up at the top right, and that's going to let me synchronize. So it pulls up this little message that's going to let me synchronize it down to my hard drive. So this is called Skydrive Pro. It is completely unrelated to Skydrive. Todd Clint wrote a great blog post about this, KLINDT.com. Skydrive is just that free, service that Microsoft gives you to be able to upload, files to the cloud and keep them there. Skydrive Pro is just for libraries in SharePoint. So, for example, this little Skydrive button that I have up here next to my name up at the top is just my own document library that's in my site. And then Skydrive Pro is just what they're calling it. So if I want to synchronize any library in SharePoint, I'm going to have this sync button, and then Microsoft SkyDrive Pro is the software that's going to be able to sync that to my hard drive. So it's telling me where it's going to put it, and I can click sync now, and it's going to take all those files and make a copy of them down to my hard drive. That way, if I go on a road or if I go on a trip and I need to work on that stuff offline, I can do that. And then, of course, I get an issue. But it actually did pop up in my list of favorites in my Windows Explorer. So I'm not going to troubleshoot that right now. That's actually the first time I've used it. I also have a new little button over here at the top right that it's called Focus on Content, and really makes your content sort of full screen. So if I shrink it back down, see, it's basically just getting rid of my quick punch and it's making it bigger. So if you ever need to take this, list of whatever it is in SharePoint or your page and have a sort of a better, more printable view of it, you can just click Focus on Content and it'll be in a sort of a wider font. It's better for printing because you're not going to have all that navigation. So you can have all my navigation. Pretty neat. Okay, let's see what else having to do with collaborating on documents. I talked about live co-authoring. Let me pull up my little slide and see. So we talked about uploading and adding files, drag and drop, live co-authoring, check-in, check-out, editing files versus editing properties. And then we have Office integration. So Office integration is, and I show you how you can go into Word and you'll have the ability to open previous versions and check the file out and things like that from within Word. There's another thing that I can show you having to do with Office integration that's specific to Word documents. I'll go ahead and show you that with the example with this conflict interest file. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up in Word. And what we do is we have the ability to visually compare different versions of the file, which is very cool. And this is Word is the only program we're going to be able to do that in, and you don't have that for Excel, unfortunately. All right, so here is my current version of the file. So I can go pick whichever specific version of that file from SharePoint that I want to compare it to. And that list of files should be listed here any minute now. I'm going to try that again. Yeah, it's still retrieving the version history. So since I've been working on this file sort of as I've been talking, and I've made several changes to it, so it's going to have version history. So I can visually see what was different about that file between one change that a user made and another change. So Word found no differences between the two documents. So hold on, let me do this again. Specific version. And this time I'm going to wait for it to retrieve that. There we go. There's my list of versions. Okay, so now I can go pick a specific version. So I'm going to go back to like version 2, and I can even pick some more things like formatting. Like I don't want to know about formatting changes. I don't want to know about white space, little things like that that I want to sort of tune out when I'm visually comparing these documents. And then I can compare, and that will put these files on the page next to each other, and I can see what happened. So this tells me changes since 2.0. It says one revision, and this is the stuff that I typed in here. So this is the compared document. So this is what the document looks like, at version 2.0, and this is all the stuff that's been added since then up to version 6.0. And then it's got the original document here, version 2.0, and visually showing me the revised document. This is the current version of it. So I have all these visual ways that I can see what's been going on, and you can imagine that if you have a big, like if you're a legal team and you have like legal files that multiple people have been editing and things like that, you want to be able to see, you'll be able to scroll through this and see what's going on with it. It's pretty neat. So my concept of versions, again, I didn't dig too far into it yet, but I have version history. Not only can I go back to a previous version and restore it, but I can go view those older versions and see what they look like back then. So if I take this and restore it from version 2, it's actually going to become a new version. It's going to become version 8. So I'm not going to lose what it looks like now if I go restore an old one. It's just going to, my now version is just going to be, version 7, and this old one is going to become version 8, and then I'll be able to, still go see this one if I need to. So I can view, it will physically just open up that old file for me to look at if I want to check it out. All right, a little bit more about versioning. I have a couple of different levels. So what I've been doing so far with versioning is I just had it creating major versions. So it's just saving it as a new version every time I edit. It was pretty simple. I have the ability to do major and minor versions, which means that it's going to do like 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and then the next major version is going to be 2.0, just so that all my drafts are going to have that 0.1, 0.2, etc. next to them, and all my major versions are going to have the 0.0 next to them. So I can say how many drafts I want to keep, and then I can say who should be able to see the drafts. All right, so now I've got that turned on. I actually have a couple of different levels to go through when I'm working on something and editing it and saving as a new version. So I'm going to go ahead and open this file again. It looks like I already had it open. Okay, go close that other one. All right, edit documents. And then more, I'm not very creative, more changes. All right, and then my file menu here, a little slow. And again, we have all this Office integration in our programs. They all love SharePoint, so you'll be able to see all this stuff inside of your Office programs. So I can manage versions. I can go ahead and check it out if I wanted to. I can refresh this list. And what I do here is I'll go ahead and check it in. Well, I'm not going to check it in. I'm just going to save my changes basically, and then I'll show you what I have to do next. So I'm saving my changes, but since we have major and minor versions turned on, the whole purpose of this is to be able to quickly, make some changes to a document and have like a couple of levels of publishing available. So what happens is, like, think of, a document library that's full of company policies. Well, if you want to edit a company policy, sometimes that's a really big deal because company policies are very formal documents, so they need to go through more of a formal process. So what happens is you can have a couple of different people that are editing a file, and they're going back and forth and working on it, and it's in draft mode. And then where they're ready, whenever they think that document is ready for public consumption, then they can go publish as a major version and publish it. And then once they do that, then everyone will be able to see that next major version. While it's in draft mode, the people that have the ability to just see documents in the library, they're going to only see the major published versions of it. They're not going to see that draft that's going back and forth. So this one down here, 7.0, is the current published major version. That's the one the consumers of the library are going to see. And then this version 7.1 is the draft. So what I have to know to do when I'm ready is that I have to be able to publish it and make it available for everyone. So let's see, I can unpublish. That's what I thought. Okay, hold on. Let me refresh this. There we go. Okay, I was wondering why that wasn't on the menu. I just need to refresh the screen. Publish a major version. So this will be 8.0. Right, so you have to know that's an extra step that you have to do whenever you're ready for the file to go public. All right, and then I can do version history, and now I'm currently on 8.0, and this is the current published major version, and my drafts are gone, so I'm only going to have all my major versions in here. Another cool thing that we can do is in SharePoint 2007 and up is we can save files directly to SharePoint from our Office program. So I can go to SharePoint first. I just started working on a blank document, and so this is my new blank document. Blah. Blah, okay. And now I want to put this in SharePoint. So that's the cool thing about all the integration is I don't have to remember to separate, put it in SharePoint. It's going to be part of what I can do just within my Office program. So I can do File, Save As, and 2013. So there's my library right here. I can just click the name of my library. And it contacts SharePoint, and then I just basically give the file a name and it puts it in the library. All right. Yep, there we go. Just call it blah blah. Now, what if my library is not in that location yet? What if I wanted to put it in a library that's not showing there? So what could I do? So I'm actually going to need the URL. So I can do browse, and I'm going to need the URL of the library that I'm in. So I need everything before forms here. And unfortunately, in 2013, they've changed the way the URLs are formatted now. So they've got all this sort of gobbledygook middle. So what I really need is just the site, which is IT/team, and then I need the library, which is shared documents. So I need this URL, and that's what I'm going to use inside of Word right here, and I'm just going to paste that. And that's going to go find that library for me. So if I've never been to that library before, it's going to go find that library for me, and then it will, from that point on, it will show in my recent locations in my Word program. But that's how you can get to it. I've actually recorded a video on how to do this, and especially in previous versions. Let me go pull that real quick. That's webcasts. No, not in my webcast. It's in my Debut WebPart screencast, of course. Save directly to SharePoint. So It's right there. Beginner's tip, save directly to SharePoint screencast. So that is what's going to show you how to go in and just go straight from your Office program to be able to do that. All right.